Hello my friends, it is Mrs. Mount here in the Limitless Learning Headquarters, and we are here for today's math video where we will be talking about time and the clock and what these numbers mean and what this is and all those good things. So let's get to it. So first of all, let's talk about what is a clock. Well, a clock is what tells us the time. Now this clock doesn't have any arrows on it because we are going to write them on as we learn. The red numbers around here are signifying our minutes, and the green in here is signifying our hours. Now, on a typical clock, you probably won't see these red numbers. If you were at school, maybe you might see them, but in a typical home, store, work, anywhere, you're not going to see these numbers. So that's why it's important that we learn about them. But for the purpose of this lesson, it is really, really helpful to just have them on there. So, as I mentioned before too, we are going to use whiteboard markers. The red marker is going to correspond to the minute hand, and I don't have a green marker, so I'm going to use a blue. So the blue will correspond to the hour hand. Alright, so let's get started. Now, if you saw this on a clock, what time do you think that is? Well, if we look at our minute hand or our hour hand, so our hour hand is the shorter one, our minute hand is the longer one. And we always look at our time first by the hour and then by the minute. So we know our hour is pointing up at 12. So the first part of our time when we're talking about it is going to be 12. And then we can look at our minute hand. Now, does 12:02 looks right? Because you know 12, 1, 2. That's what I think. No, that is not right. So if you were to look at the numbers around the edge, you would notice that 1 corresponds with 5, and at the 2, there's a 10, and at the 3, there's a 15. So what that means is that when we're looking at the minute hand, each of these numbers, we're actually going to count up by 5. So we are going to use our counting skills, our specific. So if we count by 5s, and we're going to try and find our minute, we know that we have to count by 5 till the 2. So I'm going to stop counting by 5s once I get to here. 5, 10. So my time would be 12:10. Now let's try another one. If my hour hand was here and my minute hand was also here, so they're right on top of each other. Kind of drew them side by side so you could see, but they're right on top of each other. They're both pointing at that 12. What does that mean? Well, that means that our hour hand, what number is our hour hand pointing at? 12. And our minute hand is also pointing up at the 12. So we know that when it's at the 12, we are at 0, which looks like this. So that means 0 minutes. It's 12 o'clock. Now, if we switch this up a little tiny bit, and we had it there's our big hand. And there's our little hand. What time do you think that is? It looks really, really similar to the last two times that we've looked at, but it's actually quite different, and we can learn a lot from looking at this time. So if I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, Mrs. Mount, you said look at where the hand is pointing. Well, the hand is pointing at 12. So I think it's 12. And you said that the long hand is the minute hand. And I need to count by 5s until I get to the number that the minute hand is at. You told me that. So I'm going to do that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So I think, based on what you just told me, Mrs. Mount, that the time is 12:55. But, unfortunately, that is not correct. Because this minute hand here, if this was 12:55, that's a lot closer to 1 o'clock than it is to 12 o'clock. So that means that that hour hand would have to be closer to 1 rather than closer to the 12. So it's almost at the 12, but it's not quite there yet. That's why it's important to make sure that we pay attention to this minute hand. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, just like there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. So there's actually another hand that goes around every minute. So between the 12 and the 1, the hour hand will only move twice, but the minute hand will move a lot more than that. And the second hand will move even a lot more than that. So, because our minute hand is here at the 55, we know that it's not quite at that full hour. So then we know we need to look, what's the number that comes before that? Well, that's 11. So it's not 12:55, it's actually 11:55. It's almost 12 o'clock. We have 5 minutes to go until it'll be 12 o'clock. Good job, my friends. All right, let's try another one. Actually, let's talk about AM and PM. Now, you may have seen this before. So when you were talking about the clock, here it's 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is midnight. If you go all the way around that, all that 12 hours, then it becomes 12 noon. So then we're in the afternoon. So if you wanted to say that it was in the morning time, you would write your time and then you would put AM afterwards. If you wanted to say that it was 3:30 in the afternoon, then you would write PM. So I would write 3 o'clock PM. And that would look like that. But that exact time So if we took that, if we imagine this 3 o'clock wasn't there, we'll take it away. That exact time means 2 different times in a whole day. So it'll mean a time in the morning and it'll mean a time in the afternoon. So if it's in the morning, it's going to be 3 o'clock a.m. If it's in the afternoon, it's going to be 3 o'clock p.m. Now, some clocks might have what's called military time. So in the military, they do not use AM or PM. They just continue counting after 12. So then this would become 13, 14, 15. But we'll get into that in another video. That'll be on the next video. The next math video, that is. Alright, so let's look at a couple more times. I will put some up on the clock. We will talk through 3 more, and then you can work on some on your own. And then I will just take pictures of examples on here, and then you can work through them at home. And feel free to send me your pictures or any messages. Let me know how it's going at Facebook at Limitless Learning with Mrs. Mount, or Instagram at LLK Mount. I would love to know how you guys are doing. I am sure you are rocking it. All right, let's get to it. So we'll do 3 more together, and then I will leave a couple pictures so that you can work through some on your own. Let's do what time is this? Well, that hand is not really pointing to one number. It's like almost right in half. It's like a little bit more to this side. So what happens in the case when the hour hand is not directly on the number? You would look at what hour it's in between. So you know that it's between the 7th and 8th hour. So you know that it's between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Now, if it was 8 o'clock, then your hour hand would be after the 8, right? So then that means that our hour is actually 7. Wow, great job, my friends. And our minute, let's count here. 5, 10, 15, 20. So then it's 7:20. And again, that could mean in the morning or in the afternoon. So if it was in the morning, you'd write AM. If it was in the afternoon, you'd write PM. All right, let's do a tricky one. Ooh, I know. Okay. Well, let's see where our hour hand is. It's not pointing directly at the 11, but we know that it's got to be one of these 2 numbers. It's got to be one of these 2 hours. But if it was 12 o'clock, then the hour hand would be pointing either at the 12 or after the 12. So we know that it's 11. Now let's look at our minute hand. I wonder what we do. Look at this, my friends. That minute hand, if we were to draw a line all the way to the end, it's not really at the 10. It's at a little bit after that. So what do we do? Well, as we learned when we were talking about our minutes before, we are skip counting by 5 here because there's 5 minutes in each amount of time that passes through here. So for the minute hand to get from the 12 to the 1, it takes 5 minutes. So you actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So all of these minutes are all around the edge. But we count by 5s just because it's easier. But if our minute hand isn't on a number that's exact of 5, then that means that we would just count the number up that we have up to 5. So we know that the 2 is on the left side of our hand, so we've passed that. So we need to include that number in our count. So we know that we need to skip count by 5 for every big number. So 5, 10, and then it's 1 minute after that. So then all we would do is we would add 1 minute onto 10. So 10, 11. So that would make our time 11, 11. And again, we know that because our minute hand is here. So our minute hand is pointing this way. So we know that we need to include all the minutes from where it's pointing up until the 12. And if we wanted to, we could count them too. Every minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, if it was a number way over here in like 46, 47, 48, that would take a long time of counting. So that's why we would skip count and then just add the numbers as we need to. That way, we're skip counting, so we're counting faster, and then we're just only adding up to 5 numbers at a time. Pretty cool, eh? All right, one more, and then I will leave some for you to work on. Alrighty. Last one. Let's do our hour first. Actually, no. We'll do this. And I'm going to draw this line all the way out just so that it's easier for us to see. But it'll usually only go to like there. But I just drew it out just so that it's easier. So we are going to look at our hour first. So we know it's in between the 6 and 7. But if it was 7, then the hour hand would be after 7 or on 7. So then we know that our hour is going to be that 6. So 6. Now let's count our minutes. And we know right away that our minute hand is not exactly on one of our numbers. So we know that we're going to have to skip count and then add a little bit. So let's skip count all of our big numbers, and then we can just count and add the numbers we need to after. So let's count together. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So we know that whatever numbers come after this, we're going to be adding it to that 35. So 35, 36, 37. Or sorry, 35, and then we're going to add 1 and 2. So it's going to be 35 plus 2, and that equals 37. So we know that the time is 6:37. Great job, my friends. I am sure you guys are rocking this clock stuff. Okay, I am going to write up a couple clock pictures for you now, and then I will add them to the end of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Stay limitless, learners!